Welcome to the Green Phoenix Review. My name's Kanan, and as always, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button to keep up to date on all my latest content. So with that, let's blast off to see what is what with the gameplay.
How we crossed the expanse of space. How we escaped from Zerouno. Those numerous jobs to be able to afford my improvements.
Okay, so Green Phoenix basically is a on-rails kind of shooter, a space shooter. And you're basically a ship's AI talking to what essentially is a dead pilot. And the narrative runs all the way through this game. It's not a bad one when you can hear it. I'll come back to that. But first, let's have a look at some of the key features of this game. Firstly, there's the simple but effective controls of just moving around the screen and basically shooting with any of the trigger buttons. The game is kind of played out through just a few levels, and I'm not going to show you that last level, but I am going to say that it slowly gets you into it until like the second from last level, where it starts to ramp up the action more. You'll be mainly avoiding different obstacles and environmental obstacles, as well as different types of robots pent up on either ramming you or shooting you down. And I'd say the game is incredibly short, probably an hour for most people, but it did take me a little bit longer to get past those final levels. I don't normally mention a price being a key feature, but I think at the $2.99 mark or just under $4, I think it's actually priced quite well. Now, I will say that the game is kind of really slow to get into. That first level is actually quite surprising and yeah, took me back a bit and made me feel sort of like Blade Runner-y, but it in time and places kind of dragged a little bit too much. They went a bit too far with it. And I kind of like yearned for something else to happen. That second level was kind of like the same. It's just not really much happening, and I was waiting for like some action, real action. But when that eventually comes, it's almost a slap in the face how much it ramps everything up. And with everything going on around you, it really does feel good, but also gives you that shame that all those other levels are wasted. And, you know, bar the first level, I kind of like feel like the other levels should have been a bit more actionly. That is not to say I didn't like this game. Green Phoenix is one of the highlights of my year, kind of like a surprise, especially when everything is working properly. It's cheap and cheerful, but packs a punch in places. Graphically, saying that, again, there are bits in this game, especially that first level, that you think, wow, this is actually quite impressive. If this is what the game's going to give me, bring it on. But sadly, there's other levels that feel, for want of a better word, flat. And that is so unfortunate because it almost lets down those other levels. But for what you've paid for, I think the amount of different obstacles when you've really gotten into it and the amount of different things that are attacking you, I suppose, are actually worth the money that they're asking for. Audibly, well, once again, it's okay up until you get to the fourth level. When all that action is happening around you, that music ramps up and it feels so good. I felt myself bopping along to it whilst shooting and avoiding and all at the same time. It was brilliant. But again, this was let down slightly because the audio in the background and the sounds, the guns and everything all work all simultaneously, and unfortunately, whilst you're trying to listen to that voice of the AI, it kind of gets drowned out in places. And between concentrating on what you're doing and all the music, the shooting, yeah, it kind of drowns itself out, and you'll struggle to hear what she's saying. And for a story narrative, this kind of wasn't good because I missed some of the actual story. The good. When this game works well, it blooming well works well. You get such a hype from it. And there's so many little highlights here and there that it's definitely worth the asking price. The bad. There's just so many like little things that you think, why did they do that? Why not give me the option to turn down the music and the audio and just have her voice slightly louder so I can keep track of what's happening in the story at the same time? Likewise, why have these incredible set pieces and then a couple of them kind of like, I mean, I know what they were doing, but I don't know, it just felt a bit strange. And with that, I'm going to hit up on the all-important score. I would love nothing more to give this game a 4 out of 5, because as a whole, it's worth that, but there's just too many little things that let it down. So instead, I'm going to give it a 3+ out of 5, so close to that 4. And mainly some of this is because of that price mark. If this was any higher, $4.99, $5.99 or above, I think this would be getting a lower score, a lot lower score. But I think because they knew what they had here and they weren't greedy, I think the 3+ is definitely the right place to go by. And feel free to join me down in the comments with your own comments on the game. And so, as for my alternative, I'm going to be suggesting Space Commander War and Trade. I did review this on the channel, if you want to go and have a look at that review. It's not a bad little game, it's very open worldy, unlike this one. But it's space and all that lot, and you get to shoot things, and you know, I think that's the point, isn't it? Anyway, if you've got a better alternative, leave it down in the comments. And with that, why not hit that like and subscribe to be kept up to date with all my latest content, and also come and join us in the community Discord. It's always nice to talk to like-minded people, because life is better when we switch together.